Hey people, not Seth here, in fact it's Kode, also known as the Salt God in some circles. Now, with the new Guilty Gear being announced, I've noticed an influx of new players coming to Rev 2 trying to get into the game and prepare for the new Guilty Gear that is due 2020, which is something most of us are very stoked about. Now, for those of you interested in Jam, I just want to say that Jam Discord is a wonderful place to start, as we've got active people who are more than willing to help you and answer any questions that you might have about Guilty Gear and Jam. But we also have a lot of resources regarding the character, and there will be an invitation link in the description below. So, you want to learn Jam. Now, Jam is a Chinese cook who has this severe tendency to get her restaurant wrecked or blown to bits on more than one occasion throughout the story, and she's also a kung fu master. Now, we don't really know her exact age, but she's either in her late 20s or her early 30s, which makes her thirsty as hell for a man that is both attractive and, more importantly, filthy rich. And she initially set her sights on Kai Kisk for this, but then that thieving monster lolly Dizzy stole him from Jam, and thus Jam is quite frustrated about her current situation. Now, fluff aside, Jam has really good movement on both the ground and in the air, with her air dash being one of the fastest, if not the fastest in the game. Her buttons are also very fast, including a 3-frame jab and a 4-frame low kick. And this is super good, because there are other characters whose fastest button is actually 5 frames. Now, the downside to this is that her arms are those of a T-Rex and her legs that of a halfling who got his kneecaps used for baseball practice by the Shire mob. The plan is then to compensate for your Stumby dependencies by using your mobility to get in on the opponent where your 5k can hit, at which point you can pull out your third leg and start mashing the button with it, because you've essentially won, they're going to be here for a while. In short, Jam is a rushdown character who loves to be close to her opponent, where she can stick to them like good pasta to a cupboard door, and she can unga like a gorilla, and therefore also hit like a truck. The challenge lies in actually getting close enough to do this, however, since pretty much everyone else is going to outpoke you or control space, which makes it hard for you to go in. And this means that you need to cleverly use your mobility along with some other tools and reads in order to get close enough where you can actually start wrecking damage. Another thing worth mentioning with Jam is that while her overall game plan, which is essentially get a knockdown, charge a card, get them into another combo where they get a hard knockdown and charge a card and rinse and repeat until they're dead, and the execution in doing so is not particularly hard, but she suffers from having a lot of character specific combos, if not the biggest amount of character specific combos in the game, thanks to the way her parry works, which we use for optimal combos. I'll talk about that later. And with practice you can start to eyeball this or simply memorize the routes needed, but it can be quite frustrating in the beginning if you're set on doing optimal stuff with Jam. Some other things noteworthy about Jam is that she basically craps tension gauge. She generates a lot of gauge with what she does, but she also requires a lot of tension gauge for both her pressure and some of her combos. She also lacks a knockdown in the air outside of getting a card and doing a kick knockdown. And lastly, some of her last ditch efforts to open people up, like say her Hamonkyaku or her Karageki, can actually be quite unsafe, and depending on if your opponent reacts to it in time and with the correct answer, can get your shit pounded in quite forcefully. Oh, and you either love her voice, thinking it's the voice of an angel, or it drives you so mad that you want to set fire to a child orphanage. The choice is yours really on which side of the fence you go with this matter. Me? I love Jam and her voice, I think it's the best. Now with that out of the way, let's actually get started on the character and look about what she can actually do in more detail.